Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are digging into some really fascinating old school mountain remedies. We're going to be talking about some powerful applications that you can whip up with things you probably already have sitting in your kitchen.
We're diving into some source material that shows how super simple ingredients, we're talking cabbage, charcoal, castor oil, have been used for generations to create these powerful folk remedies. And hey, just a quick heads up, this is all for informational purposes based on the source material we're looking at, and it's definitely not medical advice. You should always talk to a healthcare professional about any health concerns, okay? Let's get into it.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with some really simple poultices for pain, then we'll level up to the mighty charcoal poultice, cover a few other cool remedies you can drink or apply, and then we'll wrap it all up with a big modern takeaway.
First up, let's look at two incredibly simple but surprisingly effective poultices. These are great for tackling those everyday aches and pains and for getting your circulation going, using stuff you might have right now.
Okay, first we have the humble cabbage poultice. I know it might sound a little strange, but this remedy is used literally all over the world. The source material mentions it popping up everywhere from Appalachia to Venezuela, and for one very simple reason. It's cheap, it's everywhere, and apparently it just works. So here's the crucial part. You've got to break down that leaf. You basically just beat it up a little until it starts to release its own juice. That's where all the good stuff is. Then you just apply that juicy leaf right onto the spot that hurts and wrap it up to keep it in place. Simple as that. Next, we have the cayenne poultice. Now, this one is all about getting the blood moving. When you increase circulation to a specific area, you're bringing warmth, you're bringing nutrients, and you're helping to speed up that whole healing process. And you really don't need a lot of cayenne here. This stuff is potent. The olive oil just helps it stick to the cloth. The cayenne itself does all the work, drawing blood right to the surface. It creates this really nice warming sensation and gets that circulation going, which is perfect for places like the bottom of your feet.
Okay, so now that we've seen those simple ideas, let's get to the real heavy hitter of home remedies. The source material basically presents this next one as maybe the most powerful, most versatile tool in the entire folk remedy kit, the charcoal poultice.
To really understand its power, this source material shares this intense, real-life emergency. It's about a man who got stung by a hornet and was having a massive allergic reaction. I mean, his vitals were absolutely crashing, he was fading in and out, and help was still a long way off. So what did they do? They made a simple paste of activated charcoal and water and slapped it right on the stings. And here's the truly stunning part. Within 2 minutes, his color started coming back, and his vitals began to dramatically normalize. It was that fast.
So how on earth does that work so quickly? Well, the science behind it is pretty cool, and it all comes down to the difference between these two words you see here. Charcoal doesn't absorb stuff like a sponge soaks up water. It adsorbs, with a D. That means toxins and poisons literally get stuck to the outside surface of the charcoal, which then pulls them out of the body.
And just how big is that surface area? Okay, get ready for this. The source says a single teaspoon of activated charcoal powder has the same surface area as an entire football field. Let that sink in. An entire football field. That is a mind-boggling amount of space for toxins to get stuck to. Making one yourself is actually pretty straightforward. You mix the charcoal powder with a binder, in this case ground flaxseed, and then you just add water till you get a thick paste. Now, the flaxseed is super important here. It acts as a binder that holds the water and charcoal together, which keeps the poultice moist and active for a lot longer. Okay, now for a couple of really crucial tips from the source. First, you have to use a binder like flaxseed. If you just use water, it's going to dry out way too fast and stop working. Second, and this is so important, never put charcoal paste directly on an open wound. You need a barrier, like a wet paper towel. Otherwise, the charcoal particles can get stuck in the new skin and create a permanent, literal tattoo. The effectiveness is just stunning. The source gives another example of a suspected brown recluse spider bite. I'm talking a nasty wound that can become necrotic, where the tissue actually starts to die and often requires surgery. But in this case, using a charcoal poultice, the wound healed completely in just a few days. No surgery, not even a scar. Just incredible.
All right, so we've talked a lot about poultices that draw things out. But the source material also gets into other practical remedies, like a really potent drink for fighting things from the inside and a deeply penetrating oil pack.
So for internal stuff, like when you're feeling congested or getting a cold, the source offers up this concoction called rocket fuel.
And yeah, one look at the ingredients and you can see why. It is a powerhouse of antiviral and circulation-boosting stuff. You've got that intense garlic and onion, the warming cayenne and ginger, all blended together into one potent drink to knock out whatever you've got going on.
And finally, let's take a look at the castor oil pack. Now, this one is really different. It's used for problems that are deep inside the body. And that's because the oil has this pretty unique ability to actually pass through the skin and get to the tissues and organs underneath.
And because it can penetrate so deeply, it's used for a huge range of internal issues, things like cysts, tumors, and even breaking down scar tissue. The way you do it is you soak a cloth in warm castor oil, put it over the area you're concerned about, and then you put a heating pad on top to help it absorb even better.
So, after exploring all these different methods, from cabbage leaves to charcoal to castor oil, what's the big takeaway from all these old mountain remedies?
You know, if there's one core theme that ties all of this together, it's really about empowerment. It's about having this practical, hands-on knowledge that can turn these simple, everyday items into genuinely effective tools for your own health and well-being.
And that kind of leaves us with a final question to think about, doesn't it? In our modern age of super complex, high-tech medicine, what is the role for this kind of simple, traditional knowledge that you can literally hold in your own two hands?